Everyone, good evening. This is the caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is Monday, November 21st in the year 2016. My phone, which I am silencing, hint, 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 says the time is 5:36 p.m. May we take a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Gajewski.
Yeah.
And saying this for the first time, Councilperson Gadsden.
Yep.
Councilperson Bagiano. Yun.
Yep.
Councilperson Osborne is absent. Coleman. Absent. Rivera.
She's around.
Well, not at the table.
Not at this time.
Councilperson Waterman is right beside me, and Council President, take us.
Okay. Let's begin, first of all, by welcoming our newest member of the City Council, who was just sworn in mere minutes ago, Mr. Chris Gadsden. Would you like to say anything, or? No? Okay. All right.
Good answer.
Going to start, there's not an item on the agenda. I'd like to bring up Mr. Patrick Stamato and share. He's going to be appointed on a temporary basis, acting basis, by Mayor Fulop as the Director of DPW. There's no action to be taken by the council. Attaches his resume. I have one. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yes. It was important.
So, we actually haven't in the past brought in acting appointees to welcome them and whatnot, but Patrick wanted to take the opportunity to be here and introduce himself as well, and with some of the transitions in DPW and this past year, the merger of DPW with the Jersey City Incinerator Authority. Patrick Stamato is going to be taking on a big role over there. Do you want to say anything, Patrick, and share a little bit?
I just appreciate this opportunity. I know there's a lot that I have to learn about the operation, but yet I'm familiar with the operation. When I was on the private side, we did hold a number of contracts in the city of Jersey City, and we participated in through the Jersey City Incinerator at the time in both snow services and collection and things of that nature.
You can see through his background, he's got extensive background with both snow removal, recycling, solid waste planning with the Hudson County Improvement Authority. So he'll be appointed on a 90-day basis, as allowed by law, and then if everything works out, I guess, then the mayor will put his name forward for a permanent appointment in 90 days. Okay?
Can I say something?
Yep, Councilman.
I mean, what, acting director of the DPW?
DPW.
But you worked before JCI, right?
Presently, I work for the JCIA, HCIA.
HCI.
Hudson County.
Oh, okay. It seems like, but when you see that skim through your resume, do you have no experience, any DPW, any part of that, division, anything like that? It's okay?
Yes, I have done work for DPWs, both water lines, lateral lines, sewer lines, things of that nature, roads, bridges, tunnels. I've been involved in that also.
This one more like Jersey City, the JCMUA issue. No? I mean, DPW is, as you know, years ago, just a simple DPW, but now DPW merged with the JCI, also part of that parking or the lot maintenance go to the the DPW. It's a huge department, but without any experience at DPW, are you feel comfortable to take the job?
Yes, sir.
Everybody feel comfortable taking the job because they pay good dollars, no question about it.
Not really. I mean, for me, believe me, I'm having second thoughts on this. The situation that I'm in is, besides answering to you and the public, I have to go home and listen to it too. The situation is basically the experience that I bring to the table coincides to what is going on now with the DPW. A lot of the equipment that's being utilized, many years ago, we participated in the design of that equipment. So what you read and what I bring to the table is pretty extensive.
Yes, I did that. I just skipped through because this kind of resume they can be provided us last week. But last minute I just skipped through the resume. Well,
There's no action by the council, Councilman Yun. So we've done temporary acting appointments on the 90, this is a total courtesy. Yes.
But it's a temporary, but actually now we get into winter time. And actually DPW have to play the major and heavy roles for the winter seasons, So that's why I was wondering, no experience, any DPW field.
Talk about your snow removal experience.
For a number of years, and I believe there's some people here from the JCIA that I've worked with on both snow removal and snow plowing. Under the administration of Brett Schundler, it was our equipment that basically kind of like, I hate to use the word save the day, but we participated in freeing up the streets. And what we did was we utilized garbage trucks, not only in Jersey City, but on the New Jersey Turnpike, both on the eastern and western spur, going from the George Washington Bridge all the way down to, I guess it was exit 10 in that area. So I'm familiar with snow plowing. I'm familiar with their routing because years ago I participated in that. And I know that our guys basically have updated that. And routing is one of my expertise.
Okay, right,
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Pat. Thank you. I haven't called you yet. I didn't call you yet, right? But tomorrow I'll be calling you, okay?
He's here.
It's like he's got a new haircut.
So which is the item? The snow plowing, 10X.
Talk about that?
Yeah, can we do 10X?
Okay, it's not on our printed agenda. It's not on our printed agenda, it's
Greg is here.
The one that just went out?
it's a resolution authorizing the award of an open-end contract to Control Services LLC for snow removal, salting, and plowing for the Department of Public Works, Division of Sanitation. It's one of the two late items. You have X and Y, and a replacement for T. And I have you recorded present, Councilperson Coleman. I have you recorded present.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. We're here tonight to discuss the resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Control Services for snow removal, salting, and plowing for the Department of Public Works Division of Sanitation. Just for clarification, I'm the current acting director of Public Works, soon to be replaced by my good friend and colleague Pat Stamato, who, by the way, I highly recommend and think he will do a phenomenal job. And in my capacity as Director of Emergency Management, we will get past the snow and everything else that they throw our way.
Try not to smile too much.
Okay, you're like,
Just when you're not gonna have to do that anymore?
That's what, you look extremely excited tonight. Is that because you passed this?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I thought so.
just a little history on this. Obviously, as Department of Public Works is now absorbing both the duties that were formerly assigned to the JCIA. So this will be the first bid contract for the purposes of supplying additional assets and resources to assist in the removal of snow and plowing, and also for should we get into a blizzard-like condition. I have to compliment Frank Lamparelli and Martin Valenti. They worked very diligently on putting this bid together. The former director of the JCIA, John Manello, unfortunately, there was no boiler point for this type of a resolution, so they pretty much worked off of a resolution that was supplied, or an RFP bid spec by John Manello at the time, who was the director of maintenance for the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and pretty much made the resolution fit into what we were looking to do. There was some questions as far as, this is my understanding, this started back in July under the former director, Mark Redfield. It was a lengthy process. There was one bid that was rejected, which Peter can expound on, and then the second bid, this is what is currently before you for consideration tonight. I think maybe Peter should explain the process, how the bidding went, and then I'm standing for any other questions.
And I'll just provide a little context. So I requested that Peter be here because one of the vendor that was rejected had reached out to my office and had asked on what grounds and so forth that bid was rejected. So I'm just doing my due diligence as a councilman here, and I'm not calling into question any of the validity of the determinations here, but just trying to get an explanation. And since it's a short week, how to do it right here at the caucus.
Good evening, Council President.
Yep.
And all the council members and BA. We did go to bid once and decided that the bids could not be accepted. The city had to revise the bid spec because the math just didn't work. It was the first time that the city had gone out to bid on this, and we with Public Works, we sat down for hours and decided that it would be better to revise the bid and go out again, which we did, and this was the second one that we received. In consulting with the Department of Public Works and looking at the numbers, it would be in the city's best interest to award it to the company that could basically gave us the bid amounts for all the groups together. There were 4 bidders that submitted bids. One was rejected because they did not acknowledge the third addendum. Now, in the state of New Jersey, acknowledging addendum, if a vendor does not acknowledge the addendum, then it's a basis for immediate rejection. So they were rejected. And just so that everyone knows, just for the history on actually what happened and why they were rejected, and going back to the original source, there was a vendor that registered on BidSync, and that vendor they were the ones that also downloaded the bid specification. They passed it on to another company called Doing It Right. Doing It Right submitted, and they were the ones that did not acknowledge the addendum. Now, how did that happen? In BidSync, there is you can either mark yes or no for notifications if you want to accept emails, addendums, and all that information. Now, in hundreds and hundreds of vendors that have downloaded our bid specifications since we went on BidSync for the very first time, this is the first time that this has happened, that a vendor has said they did not want to receive notifications. We had never seen this before. They said no to notifications, which meant that when the original vendor that registered marked no, when the addendum was posted, they did not see a posting for the addendum 3. Therefore, they did not acknowledge it, and that's why they were rejected. They only bid on part of the bid. They did not bid on all the bid.
I would like a better explanation as to when you say the numbers didn't. Right. What does that mean? The numbers didn't what?
The math didn't work when the hours that were necessary. When Department of Public Works first did this bid, we looked at hours, and we didn't see that it was possible for the hours that they were submitting versus the hours that the city had asked for versus the amount per hour. We had asked originally, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had asked originally for two little hours.
How many?
Two little hours. And now this bid is not for the average snow removal. This is for just the event of a blizzard. This is over and above what the city cleans. The city cleans what, up to 4 inches?
Up 7 to 8 to 1 to 5.
All right. So it's a supplemental over and above of what the city does.
So you're saying the math didn't add up, is that they weren't gonna give you enough hours to take care of the over and above amount, is that what you're
Therefore, the
saying?
bid was revised, yes.
And when you say the bid was revised, you mean we added more hours?
That is correct.
Okay.
We specified in Addendum 3 that there would be more
No, there was a
hours
new bid
required?
that came up. That was the second one.
And how much we spent in 2015-16? It's open in the country, right?
Just snow removal.
Yes.
One blizzard was 1.5 million.
2015-16.
Yes.
$1.5 million?
Right, just for that one tide removal after the snow, blizzard.
Does that include everything, salting,
Right.
everything?
Yes, that's just outside contract.
That's just outside contract.
That was just the outside contract to remove.
We do that ourselves, but the outside
But
contract is
actually,
for above that.
2015-16 most of the time. Yeah, 2015-16 most quiet winters we had.
Correct.
And still we have to spend $1.5 million.
That, what happens, if I may, after a certain amount of snow, upwards of 24, 26 inches in that area, the streets get so overbad that there's no place to put the snow. So you have single lanes, you have bus stops blocked, you got, areas of travel that are down to half a lane instead of 2 lanes, Montgomery Street. So what happens is our snow plan kicks into effect. And our snow plan is, every main artery in the city has snow removal done from curb to curb. And that runs for a 4-night period for 12 hours a night, commencing at 7 p.m., goes to 7 a.m. And we go curb to curb. We load it up with payloaders, load it into dump trucks, and we take it to 2 dump locations, and that's where we get that's where the big bulk of the cost comes in.
Yeah, because we just received this one.
So I didn't able to get a chance to read through. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow, if I have a question, I'm gonna ask you, okay? In the meantime, Purchase Department Director, I think at last council meeting, I brought up the concern issue. While you are here, I'm gonna add to one. Because when the city get the audited, they have so many percent, almost a 30% or 40%, at the contract, they are overspending more than what the city council actually authorized. Did you have any plan to limit that problem?
Well, anytime any contract goes over and above the original amount, or over 20%, there's a 20% allowance by law. Anytime that they go over the 20%, the increase has to be done by an amending resolution through council approval. It has to be done. There's just no way about it.
Now you have to advertise.
See, now, the 20%.
Correct.
20%, that means that we, as a set up to 20% as a contingency, but original amount is just different, you know what I'm saying? Let's say we actually calculate or estimated we're gonna spend $1 million. $1 million, that's what actually purchase department or any department, when they calculate estimated cost, that's what it is. So 20% contingency just in case, but most case over than budget. In other words, over than what they calculated. Any reason they have to do that? Some reason. Because when you calculate it and the cost of that they figure out the numbers, they have to use close numbers, actual numbers. And we print just in case, 20%, but most case, they increase more than what they expected. Why?
Mr. Sir, refer to the audit finding that was presented to the council last meeting.
Okay. But the increases were done by amending resolutions. Yeah, right. Well, the cost estimates of the engineers, of the architects, throughout the years have been pretty accurate. 20% is unforeseen. What goes over and above the 20%, obviously there has to be a very good explanation for it. There are several projects in the city, West District, and where things got aggravating, but in general, it doesn't happen every single year. Cost estimates under normal conditions are very accurate. It's occasionally that happens.
I think I wasn't listening, but the
first question was, what was the total cost of snow removal for last year? But you had mentioned that there was this one blizzard, but what's the total cost of snow removal for the whole
Do you have that number?
15, 16
You
season?
don't have that number.
We don't have this, we have this handled.
But he's saying the outside contractors are one,
The cost for outside contractor was 1.5 million.
One blazer, listen to me, one blazer come outside of the vendors, come street clean in the Georgia City, costs $1.5 million.
Yes,
It's a lot of money.
so the actual cost of internal costs is not estimated. We don't have an estimate
So,
on
I
that.
mean, they can calculate the salt,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's overtime. It's all just manpower at that point when see, it was done by JCIA last year. That was before the dissolution, so we don't have that number in-house right now. It'll be under the former JCIA's records. We can guesstimate at some point, you know. We can look at the overtime costs. We can look at the salting and brining costs, and then factor in the outside vendors' cost.
The cost is, rock salt cost was $800,000 or last time we proved that, right? $800,000 plus overtime cost of snow removal. They tell us that how much it costs each snow is a city of Georgia City, clear.
The other thing too, Councilman, bear in mind is that most of the times
The events we're speaking of here are large scale in nature. It comes under a disaster declaration, which is normally declared at the state level, and then moves down to the president, obviously. If he declares the declaration, the majority of the funding that's expended in the cleanup is all eligible for reimbursement.
See, I'm gonna tell you one thing is that last time when you have snow, we city of Jersey private, and the vendors come in the, you know what happened actually? I was so get pissed off that day. The blade, instead to hit the street to push the snow, instead to do that, the blade over the street. They just go around without removing any snow actually. They act like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was true.
That was true, right? I got so pissed. That's the way they waste our taxpayers' dollars. So this time, this year, if any snow, I want to make sure, keep an eye for that. When you snow plow, there have to be snow plow from the street, not their blade, not over the streets. You know, it goes like this. I say, come on. That was too much, was it? So please keep an eye, and they should be sent inspector to follow them to make sure they do the proper job or not. Okay? As long as they do that.
We have supervisors, Councilman, that follow.
Follow? Okay, but please.
We have a supervisor in East Long.
All right.
We'll make sure that's.
Yeah, let's have, we're seeing that, being out there and seeing folks doing that.
They add one thing since we're beating up on them. Since our complaint about the street sweepers, I followed the street sweepers in my area for like 5 days now. They have a different kind of street sweeper, which are the white ones, and they're doing a great job. So I just want to say thank you for sending the better sweeper in our area too. I appreciate
Right
that.
now, that's a rental.
Oh, that's a rental? Oh,
We're
okay.
testing it to see if it's a good machine, so. We got one now, the one that did your area has a back system, so a lot of people are calling up and saying they like it.
It's much better. The only thing you have to tell you guys is it's narrow, it's thinner than the old time one, and they're not going close enough to the sidewalk. They haven't adjusted yet, you know, but even with that, it's pulling more than the other machine was, so.
Rivera, then you.
I just wanted just to, you know, I know people are like bashing DPW and all that stuff, but at the last blizzard, I was there from 6 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the morning, and they did a great job.
They did a great job.
And, you know, they were out there really, you know, if they missed a couple of slabs, you know, with the blade, I mean, I was throughout the entire city, and, you know, we shoveled to the blacktop, you know, so, you know, I apologize if they missed that, but, you know, for the most part, you guys really kicked butt.
Yeah, city guys do a good job. I got no complaint.
No, they were.
All right, Council President, because this is a very good opportunity to have approaches about the DPW. Let me ask this one. Last city council meeting, the DPW put out one of the resolution to ask the city council approval, amend the contract with a rental uniform. $42,000, $120-some thousand. They increased it 3 times. At the time, because that contract they amend the contract because of the JCIA joined the DPW because they raised price. But if you calculated all the numbers, actually they shouldn't be not charging more than $89,000. But when I calculate math very simply, they overcharged $38,000. So DPW actually withdrew the resolution. That what happened now?
If I can comment on that, Mr. President, Dan, the fiscal,
yeah.
all the fiscal operations, he's reviewing that based on your questions, and that will be submitted for the next, for the
Yes,
December
please.
meeting.
Actually, they charge
So do men and women have proper uniforms for?
rental uniform for the DPW. I can say that when you calculate right, they charge $38,000 more than they're supposed to be charged. So I hope that DPW and the purchase department should keep an eye for that matter, okay?
That's certainly something that I've discussed with DPW and also with the fiscal officer. That is a co-op contract. They have to abide by the rules and regulations of the cooperative agreement. So we are looking into all that right now.
Yes, please, okay?
Certainly.
Any questions related to the snow removal?
No.
Contract, okay.
Before we continue, can I ask a couple of questions about the...
No, you cannot.
I have a thing.
I want to know, can I let these guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Robert, why are we cutting out money to the public library system? What's going on? Well, I understand that they're not going to give them any money until 2017.
You're talking about capital money. The next capital ordinance will include them in that capital budget. There's no capital going on right now.
Yeah, but do they have enough to continue the renovation of the library? Because from my understanding last year, that the funds were going to be provided for them to finish the library by the end of 2017. If they're not going to get the money until the end of 2017, then when is it going to be finished?
When we did the last capital ordinance, they still had $10 million unexpended. We prioritized road resurfacing, parks, and some other projects, and we said we'd put them in the next capital ordinance. That was the decision that was made.
Did anybody talk to them and tell them that the project was going to stop if we did that?
She was advised, Ms. Gardner was advised what was included in the capital ordinance last spring.
How do you start something?
Just stop it. I mean, the library is one of the most important things in the city for the kids.
I don't understand that. Not only that, but Ms. Gardner's been with the city for 49 years, and she was considering retiring as soon as she finished this renovation, and we just stopped the project in the middle of the project? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. How do you prioritize something that's not started over something that was already started? And who prioritized? You know, we didn't hear about it. We didn't know that you took the money and did something else with it. They have what?
They have $4 million right now.
How much they need to finish this off?
She's asking for,
The whole 10 million that
but she, you know, she has 5 different projects she's looking for $10 million on.
Okay, 5 different projects.
Yeah, I mean,
They're all part of the renovation.
it's all part of.
They're phases.
Yeah, there's the stacks, there's the windows.
Yeah.
You know, some of it's been funded already, some of it has not, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, so you're being honest with them, we're being honest with you too. I don't know how you can just do that.
Is there any way that, because it's in phases, that we can give her the money in phases based
The only
on?
way we can is do more debt, we can go to more bonds,
Go out the bond.
you know, another capital ordinance.
So let me ask you this one.
So they just took the money from the library and put it up.
There was no money taken away.
Okay. Well.
Yes, sir.
So now, so you bring up the very good.
Right, that's what it was, they didn't just take it.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, this is actually, we have to change our policy, you know. 2014, when you issued $36 million, we actually itemized how much we're gonna spend it. But some project, let's say Mosquito Park project, they allocate $700,000. But all to renovate the park, maybe they need $2 million. So $700,000, we issue bond, the part of the 36 million that we issue bond, that's not able to finish or even start the project. Meantime, the 700,000 that we issue bond, we still pay interest and the principal, and then they're not even able to use it. That's the one problem, because your case, the library, maybe they needed $10 million, but the Ward E, whatever they get, $10 million, but only we allocated $2 million So they started construction work based on $2 million, but still $8 million work to go. So now what happened? We spend the money, taxpayers' dollars, but we're not able to finish the work. The other hand, we issue bond, the bond money, we cannot be able to use it, but meantime, we pay principal interest. So nothing get done on time, everything spread out, we go nowhere. I think we should be change it. And now, 2016, we issue another $26 million bond. As you clear, $36 million 2014, we issued 30, it's not true, $36 million we issued 2014.
You're talking about stuff from a year and a half ago. What's that balance today? Is it $36 million today?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
So you're grandstanding again. You're grandstanding again.
Did you reallocate the dollars?
In other words, excuse me?
Reallocate which dollars?
Whatever dollars he's talking about, if we did a bond to do certain projects and they're not done.
$36 million capital budget is set aside for those projects. Those projects have been running strong. Streets are being done, parks got done. That $36 million you're talking about now is significantly less now. Councilman, I don't know. Roughly. I don't know. That'd be irresponsible for me to guess. This was not part of today's agenda, so I'm not prepared to answer capital questions.
We only spent $10 million, $26 million left.
He doesn't know. So you can talk to him.
You can ask me all you want. I'm not going to know the answer for you right now.
He doesn't know.
No, I mean, the 4 months ago, before we issued
doesn't
$26 million.
We just did a lot of streets and a lot of sidewalks. $11 million project is running strong.
Okay. Did,
The library now. In other words, what happens to the library now? It just sits still?
Again, to have more money for that.
Issue more debt.
We have to issue more debt, yes.
What do they use the library tax then? It's not able to use that dollars? Library tax, we collect.
Pays for operating costs.
Yes.
Not capital improvement.
No, that's basic day-to-day operations.
Councilman Diane, tell them they have to wait.
Like Hudson County
It's not in
Space
my
Trust
board,
Fund stuff qualify for that? or-
Councilman.
Probably not.
I was just concerned about it because we got we got the message and I felt that it was an unjust thing for them to stop production to stop completion of the project. That's all.
Michael,
It's
it
not
doesn't
my
matter.
ward, Councilman.
It doesn't matter whose ward it's in.
That's
It's the main
exactly
library,
right.
it belongs to the people of Jersey City, the
Yeah,
whole
but I don't
city,
like him
Michael.
directing it to the Councilwoman Culture. Have to wait. It's
All
not
right, I got a
my
couple
ward.
more, and as I said, whatever happened.
More bombs and then leave.
All right. What happened to our full-time aides? I'd like to know.
Full-time aides.
Yeah, no, we've said here for 3 years, we've been asking for it. Farrell's not here tonight.
We go through
Yeah,
this
well,
all the
Jerry
time,
Rich.
years ago said I can get state laws changed within 3 days, and he did. It's getting to a point where this has got to stop. That's, okay? That's why there's too much paperwork in this place here. And they all agree, they all want full-time aides, and we've been listening for 3 years, the same BS. All right, I have another question.
Okay, so tell me, how do you do it? So
We
I'll do it.
advocated for, we asked the legislators to put we did a resolution. This council did it.
But what
I
happened?
asked one the other day, he said he never, who was mentioned, and I'm not going to mention names, said he never heard, he doesn't know what I'm talking about. I said, what do you mean? We were told you were asked.
He was. We even sent a letter.
We did the
resolution.
Yes, we did the
We did the
We did the
resolution.
resolution, but where did it go after that? In other words,
I did, and they said they don't know anything about it.
What's in the order tonight?
The rest of the questions I'll ask Department tomorrow.
Well, I'll add, we all took the job knowing exactly what the job specifications were. Would I like to see a full-time aide? Would I like to see a higher salary for council people? I would. But for those who are crying about it now, in this job now, crying about it, knowing that you got elected and you accepted the job, knowing what the terms of conditions of the job are, it sounds a little hollow.
to clarify them, okay? Since we all getting all, I took the job and I was told it was a walk in the park and a piece of cake. So that's what you get told before you take the job, see? Now, after I got the job and I realized what it took, we came to the council president and we put a resolution through. And I'm okay with that. We put a resolution through. What happened to the resolution is what I want to know. Because I'm only a council person, we voted on it, so where did it go after we voted on it?
Assemblywoman McKnight,
In other words,
city clerk sent them over to, right, correct?
How could Jeremy can't get things done in 3 days, and this administration can't get nothing done?
Okay, it's politics, it's called the Republican administration, it's
As long as I know we sent it, then I feel that we did our part. We did. Okay. We did.
What else we got? Okay. Let's, who do we got next? We've got, no, it's not on the agenda. We have Karen. And, who's she?
Karen Blumenfeld is our guest today to talk to you a little bit about some state legislatures that didn't pass. So she's here on a mini grant from the New Jersey GASP. She joined us several years ago when we passed the smoke-free park ordinance, and she'd like to talk to you about Tobacco 21 and our electronic cigarette concerns. No, they're not. Just educational.
Contemplating legislation at a future council meeting, and Karen is here to discuss it and share those views and background on the potential legislation.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's so nice to see you all. Thank you again for your work on the smoke-free parks. We really, really appreciate that. It was a big deal for Jersey City to move forward with that, which also helped the county to do that as well. So because you did that, and Hudson County also made its park smoke-free, it's a very environmentally healthy place for young people. Our focus over at Global Advisors on Smoke-Free Policy, our focus is really on the kids and helping kids not to start using tobacco. There are some trends now that are quite startling that I wanted to share with you, and there's some things that you might be interested in doing to help with curbing that. So first and foremost, you may not realize this, but actually 90% of all people start using tobacco before the age of 21. So you've most likely seen in the newspapers the communities in New Jersey, in fact 21 communities, including Patterson, have a tobacco 21 ordinance, and that requires that retailers only sell tobacco and e-cigarettes to people under the age of 21, and this is because of new studies that have come out on the federal level that show that 90% of people start before age 21, not age 18. And in addition, it's also consistent with the alcohol law as well, which is 21. There's a lot of support. I don't want to go into all the details in the letter, but there's a lot of support from national public health organizations with regards to tobacco age 21 as a requirement. And in fact, the National Institute of Health did a study, and they estimated that 250,000 lives would be saved from premature death if the age is raised across the country to 21. Now, we know that's not going to happen anytime soon. It's really been a state and a local initiative. So I'm here to serve as a resource for you to get educated on that topic and answer any questions. And of course, as an educational resource provider, we have policies for you as well that can be helpful. Now, in our experience in working with communities that have done this across the state, one of the I wouldn't say it's a concern, but one of the notes that have been raised is that, okay, well, if you raise the age to 21, how is it possible to find funding to ensure that stores are in compliance with that law, right? Because years ago, the State Department of Health would give your health department funding to do tobacco age of sale compliance checks. So a young person would go out with an adult health inspector. But that doesn't happen anymore. So it's up to the towns themselves to decide if they're going to do their own tobacco age of sale compliance or just rely on what the state does, and your community may or may not get X number of compliance checks. So it's always best that in our 20-plus years, my 20-plus years of experience in tobacco control, to have it on the local level. So that's always been, a note, like how do we get the compliance because we don't have the funds. So about 15 towns in the state, what they've done is that e-cigarettes, okay. there's been plenty of studies out there now to conclude that the liquid that's in the e-cigarettes is dangerous to one's health and also to people that are around it. There are various chemicals, the list goes this long, many of them are carcinogenic. And there's been a tripled increase in youth in our country that have initiated e-cigarette use in just the last year, tripled. And why is that? It's because lots of things. First of all, there's no advertising or marketing restrictions on these products whatsoever. The good news is that New Jersey does require that you need to be 19 to be sold these products, but the state treasury does not require a special license to sell these, like cigarettes, for example. So, and that's probably because there's no special tax on these products. It's just a regular, general retail sales tax. So, what communities are saying, look, you know what? We need to be able to track the locations that sell these products to ensure compliance not only with our local ordinances that we have on tobacco control, but in addition, there's a new state law, you might not be aware of it, but it took effect in August that requires all e-liquids that are used to be put into these vaporizers. You know, some e-cigarettes are sealed with the liquid in them, and once you use it up, you discard it. Others are like a vaporizer, and you pour your own liquid gel wax into it. And so the state signed off on a law that requires all of those liquids and gels, et cetera, be in a childproof container. The only issue is that when I speak with health directors and health officers, they haven't been informed from the state that this law is actually taking place, and so it's probably likely that the retailers who sell these products don't know about it either. So if you have a local license that's run through perhaps your health department, then they can track the stores that are selling these products, ensure compliance with the local and state laws, and also educate merchants. It's very important, we feel, to educate merchants on what the policies are, how can we help them be in compliance as well. And our understanding from research done out of University of California with regards to the cost of these licenses is that historically, according to this study, that the cigarette licenses that retailers pay have been reimbursed from the tobacco industry because they have marketing and promotional allowances in their agreements with the tobacco industry that they purchase the cigarettes from. So it would kind of make sense that, considering 15 towns in the state have done an e-cigarette local license program, and the license per year ranges anywhere from $250 to $1,200 a store, that they that $250 to $1,200 a store, and that I can literally tell you that I have been to almost every single one of these ordinance passages, and less than 5 people have shown up the entire time for business. And the only reason I could think of is because perhaps they are getting reimbursed for these licensing fees like it has been historically according to this study. The good news too is that with regards to compliance, obviously the health department needs to have people to be able to do this and to educate and to promote education amongst youth and the schools. So for example, we do school programming and teach kids why it's important to live tobacco free, but the funding is an important component to ensure compliance with 21. So the trend we're seeing now is that communities like to do both. And it's important, of course, to get the buy-in from the business community. We feel it's very important. And we really haven't seen, the pushback on this. And because of the deleterious health effects that surround electronic smoking devices, there's a chemical that's in almost every liquid called diacetyl. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but if you consume it, the FDA says it's okay. It has like a buttery flavor. Okay, so if you ingest it in small quantities on like buttered popcorn that you would buy bagged, it's okay. But for some reason, when you inhale it, it metabolizes differently in your body, and there is a factory in the Midwest that makes buttered popcorn, and the workers there were getting sick with this very awful lung disease, and they nailed it down to the fact that they were breathing in diacetyl because the popcorn was being tumbled with this chemical, and unfortunately the only way to get cured is a lung transplant. So it's quite disconcerting from a public health standpoint and being a public health advocate that this ingredient is in many of the e-liquids. So by having this type of a program, educating the public on this and the young people, we feel as though it can lead to healthier Jersey City, and whatever kind of questions you have, I'm happy to help.
So basically, with all of that information, you can obviously hear that there's health impacts on our youth and in our general population with cigarettes, which I'm an admitted smoker, right? So, and also with the electronic cigarettes. And so the proposal is to change the rules at the local level to make it tobacco 21, age 21 for people to be able to purchase cigarettes or tobacco in Jersey City, and then also to implement a licensing program for those who want to be distributors or retailers, rather actually retailers of e-cigarettes. And those funds would then be collected from the licensing, could be utilized for enforcement as well as education programs and so forth.
How much is a license? We haven't created any policy to date, so what Karen is doing was coming and bringing you some information. We actually met with Danny and Candace as well, so Councilman Rivera and Osborne, mostly because Rivera's relationship with the HACA. We wanted to make sure that they were aware sort of where we were going, and cigars are not part of this process, but it's and we just wanted to feel out where people felt would be important. Talking to Chief Bohr, he would recommend, like a little bit higher price to be able to afford a staff member solely dedicated to this, or sort of breaking it through our registered environmental health specialist going out and doing that work.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
So Karen alluded to the fact that the retailers haven't really pushed back on this in the other municipalities, and that's largely believed because the distributors who are providing the e-cigarettes are probably paying for the licensing fees as part of their, they pick up the cost for
What
them.
they're charging, the other municipalities, or whatever.
We know
That's
other
what I'm.
municipalities range from 250 to 1,200. We've heard all the way up to 2,000 across the United States. That's probably not where we are. I mean, our health licenses are pretty low compared to the rest of the state, but $600 is pretty significant for many people that are running corner stores. Usually they have a grocer license, which is $400, so maybe it's somewhere around there.
The reason why I'm asking, of course, now, is the license costs $600. Okay, what is the cost for us to hire another employee? Because then we have to pay health benefits. So is it really cost effective to charge $600? That's what I'm looking at.
So you have to do the math on that.
Right, so we have about 2,700 food establishments. So probably half of those probably have a grocer license or less. And so on an annual basis, I mean, our starting salary for environmental health specialist, a health inspector, is $40,000 a year, and it's about 33% fringe, and then obviously like accounting for vacation and so.
I think you answered it, I just want to be clear. These licenses have to be renewed every year, so if it's $600, it'll be $600 every year. Okay.
I come from the small business field.
Right.
The small retailer in Jersey City, they not only pay one license for cigarette, you know what I'm saying? They pay state license fee, not only food. Listen, maybe you not pay, so you easily say $600,000 can say that, but small merchant have to 4 or 5 different license fee have to pay every year. You gotta think about the small guy too.
So
Okay.
all of the research that we've been told, and maybe you can sort of enlighten us here, because you actually, I don't know if you sold cigarettes in your store. So did you get a marketing budget from the cigarette company to cover that? Because we've been told.
No, not anymore. That's illegal now. So they're strictly their small merchant have to pay. But now you have to understand. Years ago, when they sell the cigarette at 75 cents, that costs like 50 cents. They make 25 cents per pack. Today, even they charge $8, they roughly make it 20 cents. per pack. Because the cigarette price is too high, everybody sell the state minimum now. So even though they put you in the $3,000 upfront, they only make a few dollars actually. So please, you have no experience in small business, but I can tell you that order today pay $600 a year. You know how many cigarettes they have to sell? Lot. So please, when you put in the place any license fee, not think about that only one. You should also think about small business community. Because in order to run for business Jersey City, not only they pay the one license, they pay the 4 or 5 different license fee have to be paid. Over the 3 years, the city council raised every individual license fee already.
Councilman Rivera?
So we recently had a meeting with Hawkeye. You know, we were over their headquarters, and I brought this up, and there was probably about close to 175 merchants, you know, and they weren't too happy. You know, all 175 said there's no way. You know, so it's something that we have to really look at, because like Councilman Yu said, and I don't usually, but you know, he's right.
What we
Small
can do,
business, you know.
Daniel, what we can do, we pass this ordinance.
We don't have an ordinance in front of you. This is just.
When they council president, when he stopped smoking, then we talk about license fee, okay? Me too. I stopped a long time ago, so I can say that, right? So we talk about those things later on, when the council president stopped smoking, okay? And when he stopped cigars, then we talk about it, okay? Sorry?
This has nothing to do with cigars.
My only other question is whether the funds are, if something like this were implemented, would the fees that were generated be in a dedicated fund as opposed to going to the general?
Well, that's up to the city council. I think they would recommend it going to a dedicated fund for prevention. I think, you know, year over year with the budgets, there's not a lot of prevention efforts, like campaign dollars for those types of things. So we're competing with billboards, and we're competing with savvy things throughout the communities.
Who enforces the illegal sale of cigarettes to folks under the age of 18?
That's the fire department. So they have a compliance division, and they go out into the field. Actually, we've, over the course of at least my tenure, there's been a significant concern selling loose cigarettes and cigarettes underage, and so that's been, yeah. Well, fire inspection. Yeah, there's a
police, fire, health, anything.
Yeah, so we have a task force, but mostly it's the fire department that gets that information.
I never heard that the fire department.
Fire department, correct?
Goes undercover.
He works on
Goes into,
Undercover stuff.
yeah,
Well, that's like a larger issue.
It's like 21 Jump Street.
right.
And just on a final note, it's important to get, just on the Tobacco 21 initiative, that the Office of Legislative Services in Trenton issued a legal opinion, which I have here. It was back in September of 2015, and the question was raised as to whether or not towns were preempted from passing local ordinances to raise the age to 21. And the legal opinion from Office of Legislative Services was that, no, there is not a preemption issue based on their research. So I thought that that's always helpful. I know that the town attorneys and city councils like to see this memo because it appears to give the authority that there's not a preemption issue. So I brought a copy. I have more, you know, I have it electronically or what have you, but it's one of those boxes it's nice to check off.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you so much. Here, give this to Peter.
Okay. Just because my time is slightly limited, if I can just, another item that's, will be added as a late item, or I'm looking to add as a late item. I handed out a draft and looking to add it as a late item. It's a resolution reaffirming the City of Jersey City's commitment to ensuring that ours remains a welcoming and inclusive city for all residents, irrespective of background or immigration status. Doesn't have a number yet, looking to add it as a late item. it's a draft version. And I won't read through the entire resolution, but basically, the gist of it is this, is that a lot of the rhetoric, putting aside politics and all of the, whatever position you have on elections and politics, the rhetoric about immigrant communities, diverse communities, people of color, minorities, LGBT, and so forth, it became very divisive and very hateful at times over the past year, I think. And there are a lot of people in Jersey City that have expressed, and not just in Jersey City, but throughout the country, a fear that that there'll be policies that, whether it be a task force that'll come in and break down doors potentially and tear families apart, or whether it's building a wall or a registration system for Muslims. All of that rhetoric has been talked about and continues to be discussed. It's not that it was just on the campaign trail, but there's still continuing discussions about that. And in Jersey City, this resolution cites, and you also have a copy of a 1996 resolution that was enacted by the city of Jersey City, that basically talked about the city of Jersey City being a safe haven and a sanctuary for immigrant communities, irregardless of their immigration status. And so this resolution basically reaffirms that commitment and reassures to the population of Jersey City, which is over 40% foreign-born, that Jersey City will continue to be a city that will be a safe city for immigrant communities. And more specifically, we'll talk about talks about the idea of not dedicating resources, wherein there's an idea that police having to comply with ICE orders, and there's that debate that says whether or not, certainly if there's an offense that's a criminal offense that by law you're required to turn someone over for immigration purposes, but if it's something like a traffic accident or a parking ticket and whatnot, I certainly don't want to see police officers checking people's immigration status on those sort of situations to see whether or not they should be deported. So, Councilperson Coleman?
I just wanted to say, I was devastated by some of the rhetoric myself. However, this is a city resolution. Do we want to actually say President-elect Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump? Can't we just say has been mentioned? In other words, it's not that I like President Donald Trump either. I don't want to, but what I'm saying is that this is highlighted just because Donald Trump said. In other words, can we say there has been talk of, and the new administration, and, some more professional terminology, Can we do that?
It's amended tonight. You'll get a copy of it tomorrow and see if it's amendable to you. Okay? What else do we have here?
That was the letter she was writing, and then the opinion on the EC.
Okay.
21.
Okay. Carmen, you want to come on up? You guys here for a couple of things? How many do you have, Carmen? One. Okay. Carmen first, and then we're going to get John and... Which item is yours? You have to excuse me. Margaret's gone. She took her maternity leave. We will all wish her well, as she will be induced into labor tomorrow. So Margaret usually has this 10J.
Here for J, it's a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract to PricewaterhouseCoopers Public Sector LLP to provide program management and related services for various programs administered by the Division of Community Development.
So Carmen Gandula is Director of the Division of Community Development.
I'm here for this contract that we're putting before you. So I've been here before in regards to talking some issues about the audit and some of the solutions that we have to get out of. My division was underwent about 3 audits in the past 2-year time frame. So this contract that you see before you is going to help identify, fix those corrective measures that have been identified in the audit. And some of the things they talk about is a program schedule, compliance monitoring, a closeout plan, a reporting dashboard, things that were identified in our existing audit that weren't there, and we are going to contract out with PricewaterhouseCoopers to take on those services.
So we can't do it ourselves, that's what you're saying?
No, to be quite honest, no. No, quite honest, no. Sure.
How long are you the director of that city?
I started in September 2014,
So,
to about two years. Yeah.
yes, I mentioned that the last council meeting when you was not there, because when I see that audit books, they mentioned that your department, the most unorganized actually department as a community developer.
Yep.
I really upset because one part of that, even a couple of senior complain about that, it's a role of community development. So now, you mentioned to that actually 2014 and 15, 16, straight 3 years that we have a problem.
Correct.
And then now, your department under your leadership has no plan to, I don't know how to correct that problem. Now we have to be hired outside vendors, pay $150,000.
I'll correct it. It's not that we didn't have a plan. You have to understand that what I inherited as a director stemmed longer than I've been here. This audit that went back 10 years. So the fact that I've been here 2 years and I'm putting in a plan in place to correct it, that's this is what you have here before you today. That when I came in as a director and I had to assess what the department needed, we went out for a consultant. We got a consultant to write our I would say, what's called our annual action plan, our CAPER, and our 5-year strategic plan. Based on those priorities, that was done first. If not, we would have lost over $50 million of funding. So that was priority number 1. Priority number 2 was address the audit. And in addressing the audit, I met with the law department, I met with the council, I've met with the business administrator about putting the best plan in place. And so what you have here before you, if you look in the resolution, are those 5 things that are most important to the city. What's not here is what you just said in regards to that under my leadership. I've been here only 2 years, and I'm trying to correct 10 years worth of work. So yes, there are people that are out there that are complaining about other things, but without the strategic partnerships, without the education, the partnerships with our collaborative consultants, and revamping and hiring people to do the work, I will say I've had about 6 or 7 retirees that have left at the same time. So imagine as a director coming under 2 years, people leaving, having to push up and meet the deadlines of HUD that I have to meet every year, that I come and I say, I have to file an extension, because at the end of the day, I would rather never come back here to you and say that I've lost the money versus trying to address it. So I am handling operations and fixing compliance all at the same time.
You know what, actually, when I read this resolution, I say you are very good. You know, a lot of people, actually, a lot of directors, they try to hide whatever they did wrong. And at least you actually brave enough stand to even though hide $150,000, try to correct that problem. I give you a lot of credit. Not many directors, they do. You know, they try to hide, spend more time for hiding. But you're willing to, even though you get blamed from the councilman, Michael Yoon, and he criticized from me, but you're willing to show up to this council, ask for $150,000 to, fix the problem. I give you a lot of credit, for that your effort, So I got no problem that my.
Council President Coleman. I want to say the same thing. You see, I've known HEDC in that area over there for 13 years before I became councilwoman, and it was just devastating. So if you can fix, with this consultant, if you can fix what was wrong and let HEDC run on a smooth and balanced level, I'd be very happy. I'm very happy that you reached out instead of going deeper and deeper under the water that you were already under when you came aboard.
Well, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the employees did the best that they could to the resources that they had, but coming from banking and finance, and when you have an origination unit that originates files and is supposed to be taking care of that aspect, there should be a processing unit. And you cannot originate files and process it underwrite at the same time. Those things need to be designated and separated out, and that's the contract that you have here before you here is to manage that aspect so that we get to the closeout plan. It's too much, and I will say sometimes that unlike other city departments, you guys may be able to have a little bit more time and leeway in planning to execution. I have deadlines. And I have deadlines that I have to meet. If not, it's either I lose it, and then you get more calls coming down the pipe and saying that we couldn't.
There's no CSBG.
There's nothing, and you guys gotten the calls with HORP. I mean, the reason why I had to shut down HORP and you get the calls is because I have to administer it in compliance. And I'm willing to take the calls, and I'm willing to address it, but until the city gets it right, I will take the calls every day and address it and say, I'd rather come before you correct than sit here and say that we administered this wrong and turn the program on without having the appropriate measures in place. Yeah, I mean, and it's taking the time.
Council President, just one thing more. You think 1 year is enough to solve all the clean the house, the youth department? But let me ask this one. This consulting company have to be stay in your department all year round and they continue to renew the contract?
The contract is for 2 years.
Contract 2 years.
Yes.
You think it's in 2 years we able to set up our own system based on their consulting? We're not.
We'll be in a better place. We'll be in a better place, and we've been able to ramp up systems and put things and systematic things in place so that that we won't ever have to go through this again. You know, the testing to audits and the closeout compliance was a practice that we never did. And also understand that HUD before used to audit the city. It's not like a new practice. What got different in HUD is that they started putting financial sanctions to this. So there is financial impact to this. So I do take this very seriously in regards to what's the best plan. And believe me, I call Bob or I call the law department picking and racking my brain in regards to what's the best strategy, what are the getting the best deal team to get this, because there is an impact. I hate coming to him and saying, we have to write this check.
The goal of ours to hire an accountant that specializes in the grant side, and it's just dedicated to Carmen's. So, because a lot of those findings are financially related.
Yeah.
So we want someone who specializes in that specific to that office.
But I mean, I don't want the company stay to see these many years. I don't want to see that.
No.
Just in 2 years, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Thank you.
How about W?
Wait, what? I thought you had one.
I thought I had one. I didn't write this, rather the law department did, so Joanne, she's not here.
227
Mm-hmm. W.
W is the resolution authorizing the city to approve the settlement of Rosemont Properties versus IP Realty and pay $75,000 to enable the city to acquire the title to 227 Clinton Avenue.
This is Ward B?
Yeah.
This might be more of a law issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This,
Actually, if you're not here for it, can I know these gentlemen have been waiting, and they need to go.
She can speak on.
Yeah. If you're not needed in this. Can we defer? I'm sorry. John, Mr. Frank, who else is with you guys? You have one item?
Just one item.
Yeah.
Let's see, it's an ordinance E.
You were actually in the meeting, raising the fines.
3E is an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions, Enforcement Penalties, Chapter 254, Property Maintenance, Article 4, Vacant Properties, and Chapter 287, Solid Waste, Article 4, Recycling of the Jersey City Code. 1, increase the penalties for violations of the solid waste section. 2, modify the current section for repeat offenders pursuant to the statute. And 3, establish minimum penalties for violations to the recycling and vacant properties ordinances.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. I appear before you this evening, reference the ordinance that would call for an increase in fines and penalties. This is geared more towards, as I like to refer to them, as predatory offenders, people that have multiple-story out-of-town owners who have multiple residences in various parts of the city. They're not complying with different waste and recycling laws. Unfortunately, the inspectors do a diligent job. They go out and they write repeated summonses. but as opposed to hiring, having superintendents on site and things like that, they would rather just pay the fine. And we've been meeting with this for the last several months. The waste pickup is a huge issue throughout the entire city, and I think if we're going to correct that, we have to have so-called a teeth in the ordinance where when the summonses are issued to repeated offenders, that the fine will be such as that they'll comply with the ordinance.
Any questions? No.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We'll get to yours now. You have 10W. It's a resolution, this is the Rosemont Properties, 10W.
This is a project that was funded by the city with about a $500,000 loan from HUD. There was a fire at the property when it was about 85% complete, and it was going to create 6 units of affordable housing. As the result of the fire, the owner took the proceeds of the fire insurance, which he was allowed to do. The only thing he has to reimburse the city is taxes and municipal charges, not our mortgage. And then there was a first mortgage on the property, and that owner proceeded to foreclose. So if they foreclose, they're going to take out the city, who's in second position. So we would wind up losing 6 units of affordable housing and possibly having to pay HUD a $500,000 back. This $75,000 settlement was negotiated as part of the litigation in the foreclosure matter and recommended by the judge. But there is a deadline that it be paid by December, I forget the date now, I don't have the order in front of me. First, thank you. So it became an urgency that it get paid right away. What we did, there was some concern where the money was going to come from, but we decided that it was appropriate to use the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and it will get paid over to the Jersey City Attorney Trust account, and we will treat this as a closing with the court, because we didn't really have a lot of time to kind of put this all together. But to me, it makes a lot of sense, because if we lose these 6 units of affordable housing, we could never replace them for $75,000, and even though there's a little more work that has to be done, it's still well worth it to preserve that instead of walking away and losing, possibly having to pay another $500,000 on top of losing the 6 units. So for me, it made a lot of sense to support it, and we think it will work. We're not 100% sure, but we are pretty sure it will work, but it's definitely not going to work if we don't have the $75,000.
Councilman Gadsden?
About how much will it cost to finish up the 15% that's left to complete the project?
We have estimates, but we have, I'm going to take a really rough guess, maybe $15,000 a unit, roughly, but we haven't had anyone actually, like an engineer and a contractor, go through the units with specificity and cost out exactly what needs to be done and what we did ask the tax assessor to do that, to have an inspector go in, or the Division of Real Estate, because what we had really wanted to do was to bring to you pictures, and we're hoping we'll have them by tomorrow, but there's no assurance because it's a short week and the assessor was out last week. Oh, yes. What this would do will result in the city acquiring title, and then we would have to come back to the council to fund the completion, or possibly designate an affordable housing developer to do it as well, which is probably the more likely course.
Councilperson Coleman?
I just want to know where 227 Clinton Avenue is.
Exactly where it is?
No, cross blocks.
I don't know. I can't tell you that offhand.
Project, you're gonna have to go back into the affordable housing fund in order to finish up?
That's not the only resource. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund has a lot of flexibility to it. That is really a fund that's created by developers who receive tax abatements. So the municipality has a lot of flexibility. I don't see why the project also wouldn't be eligible for other federal and state grants and programs. So it's not, I don't know.
Home dollars, yeah.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to go in and figure, right. Right, so someone's going to have to go in, figure out what needs to be done, figure out what it's going to cost, and then they're going to have to put a budget together, and some of it may consist of private loans, some a grant, and the city, you know, I think the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund money, they try to restrict for use as what they call gap financing. So when all else fails, if you can't get it anywhere else, we try to use that, but we try not to use it the first dollar out.
Any other questions? Nothing else? Thank you. Let's see, Brian, you're up. 10S.
10S.
As in Sam.
For Sandy. 10S is a resolution awarding a contract to Creative Outdoor America, who is a vendor of waste and recycling receptacles that include advertisements on them. The reason for this type of unique receptacle, there are a few reasons actually. We get a lot of complaints as a city, and I'm sure you do too, about litter all over the streets and litter blowing around from inside the cans, and them being full of things that you don't want, a lot of household waste in them. So the idea was to find a can, a receptacle that limits what can be put into it, has a better top on it that doesn't allow wind to come in or rain to come in or household waste. That looks a little nicer. A lot of the cans, I'm sure you've seen, are rusted out or dented or broken and just are not visually pleasing. And also the cost of them is abnormally high for waste receptacles on the street. A lot of the cans you see in Jersey City and other places are several $100s each or more. Depending on the type of can. So these are $0 cost to the city. They are maintained by the vendor 100%. So if they get graffiti on them, if they get run over by a truck, if they start rusting, they'll be replaced, no cost. And the advertisements on them serve to also provide us with a stream of revenue. So we get $175 per year per receptacle plus 5% advertising revenue. I should also mention that the advertisements, while we legally cannot restrict them to specifically be for a certain business or not for another business, we've said to the vendor, we very much want you to focus on our local small businesses that are in our neighborhoods. And they actually said that most of the people that even ask about advertising on them in their other cities that they do work are, I think they said 80 or 90%, are local small businesses. So you're not going to see a lot of ads for Pepsi or Doritos. We do have an ability to work with them to make sure that there aren't any political ads or inappropriate or lewd types of ads on the receptacles as well. The other key feature is that they're going to include recycling. So that's one thing that a lot of our residents seem to complain about, that there's no option for that. The good thing also is because they're free, we have the option to add more throughout the city. We get a lot of complaints from all over the city about how there aren't enough, or we need them in certain places. I'll stop there and take some questions, I guess. I don't want to take the whole night.
So this is for like an unlimited amount of cans for 3 years?
Yeah, so as many as we want. What we'll do is we'll sit down with the vendor and talk about what makes sense to put where we should put them. They will actually make a map of them, GPS coordinates and everything, to let us know where they are, so then we can then transmit that information to our vendor that does waste removal and to our own employees, so we know exactly where they are. But yeah, we can theoretically put them anywhere we want.
Councilman,
When we take this one to talk about it like years ago, I have raised a couple of concerns, and your department actually never provided information there. First, our street, actually, before you touch this one, actually 2014 or 12, not 13. 2012, other outside event, the county with Central Avenue side, they talked about this program actually years ago, almost 6-7 years ago, they already, but now, when we see that they review that size of receptacle they want to print at the street, is unfit in our main street condition because of situation, because our street is so crowded by parking meters and by signs, you name it. So now, when we talk about this one, I ask several times, I like to have a dimension, so what size of fixture they're gonna put in our street, right? That's number one. Number two, installation location, not only city of Joshua, vendor select any location, more likely Main Street, outside the area, that outside the organization should we have authority to choice, yes or no. You know, we have to give them some room, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, when you come up dictating that here and there, it's not for the organization, and also they protected the Main Street, it's a beauty of what they have, is gonna be destroyed. So now, size, dimension, give me a dimension, what is it?
So we have flexibility on the size, and we've talked to them about some smaller ones for certain areas and some larger ones for other areas. So we can definitely talk through, and it is definitely the plan to speak with the SIDS and the council people to determine where we want them, how many we want, what size, if they actually want recycling or not. So we'll come back and talk through that all.
When we talk about it 6-7 years ago, their designs are so big.
Yeah, there's a couple of models that they have, this company, and we aren't planning, there's, I think it's called the Concourse or something, and it's like, you know, the equivalent of 4 or 5 chairs worth of, or seats worth, it's too big. We're not gonna go that route.
So please, okay?
Yeah, sure thing.
You get $175 per receptacle, plus 5% of the annual gross revenue they have, but you gotta make a definition annual gross revenue. You know what I'm saying? The total, whatever they collect we get 5%, or annual gross revenue minus the installation, so on. So we just want to make sure that
it's gross, and it's actually it's a monthly payment, so it's prorated per month. So if they put in 5 cans in April, we get whatever adds for those 5 cans in April, and plus going on from there.
By the way, all the money, where they gonna go?
Where? What's that?
Where the money gonna go?
To the library, I assume, after this.
All right, thanks a lot. Drop it down. I really appreciate that.
Anything else? Thank you.
Okay,
yeah.
So we have the problem of when people request a trash can or receptacle. And they say they want it, and then they get it in their neighborhood, and then they say it's overflowing. I mean, those aren't going to be problems, I guess, overflowing or things like that happening or not being emptied out, and they say remove it. I'm assuming we're not going to have that problem because they won't be overflowing anymore, right?
Hopefully they won't be overflowing because so the openings are different in the sense that you can't just, it's not just a big hole where you can just keep dumping stuff in. It's a hole only large enough to fit certain types of things in it. We are still going to empty it, although this. Well, yeah, maybe it'll be.
Go to cover DPW stuff.
Yeah. So actually, this because the contracts didn't line up, this company actually does waste removal in their own receptacles. If we decided to do that at one point, it's just an option. They don't have to, but they can. So
in the event that they are overflowing, instead of having that merry-go-round of like trash cans, more people have asked for it, they take it out, put it back, I mean, how's that going to work?
What's that?
Is there a sensor on this type of a?
Right now there's a sensor. The model that they have is a sensor when you open the door. It basically lets you know when somebody is doing maintenance on it or removing the waste. So we'll know if regional or whoever the contractor is actually emptying them. They don't provide that. We've asked them about it, and we are still trying to figure out how to do that. But those are options that we're thinking about. So you can put a sensor in the that lets you know the volume left in the receptacle.
Repeat our mistake. City of Jersey, 6 years ago, they put the solar panels, the garbage receptacle, many places, cost the taxpayer $300,000. Most of those things is not working condition. Please,
broken ones.
right? Please don't make the same mistake again. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you, Brian.
Brian,
good
job.
Excuse me, I have a previously scheduled appointment that I mismanaged my calendar on, so. Joyce, we're taking the seat.
This guy's disappeared, this guy, what happened here?
Okay.
You bring your own hammer?
I miss it.
Yeah, your own hammer?
She won't need it.
That's all right, we'll go through.
She won't need it.
Stacy?
You can use my phone.
What do you got?
First, can I do the resolution and then do the ordinance?
Want to start with P?
Yes.
All right, we have Stacy here for P. And P is a affiliation agreement with William Patterson University. And that is to allow internships for public health students enrolled in both graduate and undergraduate programs at to help out at the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services.
So it's pretty simplistic. This is just to ensure that they are able to get their credits. So this, we've done this with NJCU, with St. Peter's, with Rutgers, and so now we've just received a request from William Patterson.
So, can I ask the City of New Jersey Health Department, do they have, you guys have a program for those intern students?
Well, we have several different programs. We have the nursing program for RNs to become BSNs. We have a nursing program to become an RN. Those people actually are required 150 hours of public health experience, and so they spend some time in the preventive medicine clinic, in the lead prevention clinic, and the child immunization clinic. And so they go through those 3 clinics, and then they might go out into the field with us to do other field activities. At NJCU, it's individualized, so it depends on the student. So a student might be interested in nutrition, and so they work with maybe senior nutrition program. With William Patterson, we met with a student who's interested in healthy corner stores. We're working on a project with the American Heart Association and the Food Trust of Philadelphia, because they're just the leaders in this healthy corner store movement, to come up with a plan for that particular student. So sometimes a university has a specific interest that they want a student to get particular kind of experience, and if not, then it's based on the student's interest and what they're studying. So if they're studying health education, we want to get them out with our health education team. Maybe tomorrow we have a whole team, we're doing a healthy holiday senior activity at the Bethune Center, and so we have one of our interns from NJCU there. The intern from NJCU also helps with the food distribution efforts on Sunday morning, so it really depends.
So, Health and Human Services Department, today we assign the person from the city workers to oversight that program?
We have, most of our city employees that have master's degrees, that have worked up the ladder, manage the interns, so.
My question is that, as you as a director, did you assign the person to oversight the program? Yes
Not any
or no?
one particular person. So in the clinics, we have the clinic director. So for any of the clinicals for nursing, and it's either Katiana, Zulma, or Valerie that would manage that nurse. In other parts of the organization, it depends.
Okay, so we don't need any extra manpower?
No. These are typically 150 to 300 hours of work. Oftentimes, we'll take a look at some of the work that we're doing and see if what we're doing actually fits the interest of someone, and then we'll work with them on it.
So without any extra cost of the manpower? The City of Jersey,
No.
right? Okay.
Yeah. And so the next is part of the first reading. So the fact sheet, I think I filled out a long time ago, and so it didn't make it to you. But all of you that have received my budget hearing information over the last 2 years, I have provided you with a vision for the organizational chart of what.
This is 3I we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Reorganization, 3I. Reorganization of the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah. I would say the title is a slight misnomer. We're changing the titles of some of our divisions, and so currently the department has 3 divisions. There's a health division, there's a clinic division, and then there's Division of Senior Affairs. There are 67 people that sit in the health division, so we're breaking up the health division itself into 3 divisions. One is environmental health that deals with the lead prevention, healthy homes, and inspections and licensing. The other is, which was formerly an office, would be the Division of Community Health and Wellness. And the other, which was a bureau, which is animal control, would become the Division of Animal Care and Control. The clinic division only housed, in the past, immunization clinic staff. And so people in the clinical division reported under the health officer to manage the preventative medicine, so that's the STD testing and treatment program, and we're going to put that all under one division, but change the name of that division to the Division of Disease Prevention, because they do more than direct clinical work. They actually go out and do the field visits and do a lot more prevention work and education, and then the auditing of child immunizations in the schools. So we thought that the clinical division title was a misnomer, and so more robustly kind of having the divisions of about an equal number of staffing. So most of the language is always been in there. It just moved into separated divisions. Oh, yeah, that's, yeah. So disease prevention. So I think that's because when you edit it, that was the editing.
Say twice, right? You know that, right?
No, it's when you like change the title, like the editing.
So I would say D needs to be eliminated.
How did you come up with that name, the disease prevention?
Well, we're doing a lot of disease prevention. Obviously, immunizations is disease prevention, global disease prevention. Immunization audits is disease prevention, STD testing and treatment, and then we do the partner notifications. All that happens under clinic division. So there's some people that don't actually do the clinical work that are out doing the auditing, and they don't really fit under a division. Yes.
Is okay with
yes.
clear?
Let me ask you one thing. Division of Animal Care and Control, Animal Care and Control. Maybe can we change that instead we say Animal Care and Control? We say maybe Division of Pet Care and Control. Seems like that department nothing more than take care of the cat and dog. But
technically, yeah.
Explain this because city of just spent many years planting so many trees all over the place. So the land skunk is very popular in Jersey City. But when the people complain, animal control, they say that those kind of wild animal is not there. They're not dropped to anything. So now.
So there's 3 different. I think I'm going to live in effigy dealing with terminology of animals.
I like the definition of animal in this division. What they means animal here?
Yeah. So the animals would be anything that's non-wildlife. So it's domesticated and/or household animals. So we can further define that, but it aligns with the state ordinance.
Can we have expand the animal can control their job to go to raccoons and the skunks?
No, actually, that's
any other way?
So that's all wildlife that us touching some of those things that are not impacting your personal life. So if it's not in your attic or hanging from your fence, which typically one of our health investigators handles, not necessarily animal control. That is all mandated by the state, and we would be in violation of state ordinances if this is actually a major issue for us.
Raccoon or skunks, their backyard, she even afraid to go out. So she called them many times animal control.
They don't come.
They don't come, and not only come, they can do nothing about it. So anyway, we can do some critical.
Call the wildlife reserve and they, yeah. So, yeah. So we deal with the same thing with fisheries. So we don't deal in fish, but we have a major issue on the pier related to fish, or people not cleaning up after they go fishing, which to any average person, they're like, oh, it's an animal, let's call it animal control. However, that actually becomes a sanitation issue because it's left as garbage. And so all these sort of technicalities, yes, well, it's blood and it's, you know, it's not an animal issue. It becomes a garbage-related issue. So similar to, we would have to call in fisheries and wildlife. And so we're happy to do that when someone, but when they ask us to sort of immediately care for a skunk, that is out of the realm of what animal control does. If we called it pet control, all of those stray animals, particularly the feral cats in our community, would not be covered by this. And typically that's a largest part of our concern is actually the strays across the city that need to be cared for and sheltered appropriately.
Thank you.
Jay, come on up. Jay McManus represents, is our healthcare broker, Acusure. We're here to talk about, yes, we do.
That's our biggest one, 10Q.
10Q. 10Q, this is our medical benefits. Jay McManus.
Jay McManus, good evening. McManus.
Correct. So this is our procurement process. Went out to bid earlier this year. There were 3 responses from Horizon. Yes, from Horizon, AmeriHealth, and Cigna. If you checked your emails, I sent you some information a little while ago. So Acusure, on our behalf, analyzed their responses and came back with a recommendation to the city. And right now, the recommendation would be to renew our existing contract with Horizon. Not only, with the fees, administrative fees comparable, but I think more importantly, which is the information that wasn't on the fact sheet that I shared with the council earlier today. Councilman Gatz, I didn't have your information yet, so I did not send it to you yet, but I will. The discount fees with the medical providers was greater for Horizon than from Cigna and AmeriHealth. The network of doctors is much greater, and therefore the recommendation would be to continue that for a 3-year contract. Anything specific, Jay did the analysis with his team, so he can answer some of the more the detailed questions you may have today.
So he's a broker.
He's our broker.
Our broker.
Yes, he works for us. He's been here before with our Express Scripts.
You hired him.
Express, anything related to stop loss, prescription, and medical benefits. Jay is our broker on those 3 items.
Just we talk about health insurance, except what do they call prescription?
Right, this is medical only.
Medical only.
Yeah, Councilman, we did prescription drug last January. Went through the same process. If I can just elaborate, just give you a little bit of detail. What we do when we go out for RFP, we look at quality of each of the vendors, and it's Horizon, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Cigna, and AmeriHealth. All 3 of those responded. Good quality carriers. And we looked at 2 other items. One is fixed costs for services. Both were comparable, as Bob indicated, but the 3rd item, probably the most important, is looking at the discounts that each carrier enjoys with providers, with doctors and hospitals, and how those discounts transfer to lower costs for the city. We did an analysis which entailed providing a year's worth of claim data, detailed claim data, to each of the insurance companies, and asked them to reprice those claims, take that live data over the last 12 months, reprice that using their in-place contracts with their network of hospitals and doctors. Each of those carriers did that. Horizon came back with an analysis that showed that they were several points better in terms of their discounting. Because of the size of the program, it creates a pretty wide berth of savings for Horizon, which translates to the city. It's a self-insured program relative to the other two insurance carriers. So based on comparable quality, comparable fixed costs, and significantly higher discounts on claims, it's our recommendation that the city consider renewing with the current carrier, which is Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I think you said over the course of 3 years, it'd be about $12 to $15 million savings compared to the second person?
Yeah, correct. It's about an 8-point differential in savings points between Horizon and the next closest carrier, which was Cigna. It's roughly a $60 million a year claim spend, so based on that, it's roughly $4.8 million a year. It's actually a 3-year contract with options to renew for each of those years, so we bundle those savings over a 3-year period.
Let me start it this way. How are we going to select a brokerage firm as a professional service without bid?
As you notice, there's a resolution on this meeting to extend all the brokers for, I think, 2 months as we go out to RFP, and then we'll go through that process and then come back to the council to award a new contract. For brokers on prescription, dental, stop loss, life insurance, and medical.
Because the reason I'm asking for that, I think based on if we pay $5 per employee, almost a $5,000.
That was, for example, that'll be based on the results of the RFP, Councilman.
So when we put out the RFP, Q, for looking for brokerage firm based on commission, or what is the more?
Flat fee versus commission? That item's still being discussed, but you'll know probably in the next week or two, what's being put in the RFP.
So far, with this plan, we pay brokers fee almost $300,000 a year, correct?
Correct.
Right? So $300,000 feel like a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? So they have some kind of, when I put out the RFQ, they have some kind of rules should be set up, now. Okay, so now, we pay $66 million.
Keep in mind also part of that $300,000 you're referencing, they provide us with a wellness coach that's here 4 or 5 days a week at their cost, no cost to the city, that's available to all the employees. Plus they have a 24-hour hotline, they have a help desk, so they do provide us with a lot of services.
So they provide some extra service without, cost of tax, Jersey City is appreciated. So now, how much we paid at the prescription drug was a premium how much was a year?
$24 million.
$24 million, right?
Both programs, Councilman, are self-insured. And then we purchase reinsurance on top of that just to limit large claims exposure for the city.
So another one is that they put in the purchasing agent unauthorized the issue change order to if we cannot exceed 20%. We give to them actually authorization 20% increase without city council. That means almost $30 million. I think we give to too much, 20%.
20% is the purchasing law that Peter Fogado mentioned earlier today.
What if Peter, the first, whatever they can say, but city council can be, if more than 10% increase.
But Councilman, keep in mind, we are self-insured, so we're not paying a premium. We are paying based on claims. So unfortunately, if our employee are not healthy in 1 year, the claims are going to be higher than in a year where we're relatively healthy. So it's not like the state health benefits plan where you're paying a premium every year. We do not. We pay based on the claims within the.
So that means they went up 20%.
No, it's just an ability to go up 20% if the claims are really bad for the year.
Right, give you that leeway.
Correct. So what'll happen is if you see us come to the council with those appropriation transfer resolutions at the end of the year, we need more money in the health benefits line item. That means it was a bad year.
Right. It's my claim.
So, and the city also look into that the state coverage, right? And the self-insurance to state, the joint, how they're going to be working.
Jay's firm does an analysis on like the last 12 months of claims or experiences and determines that and puts that against the state health benefits program and makes a determination whether or not it's still beneficial to remain self-insured or to go on
Yes,
self-insured.
we did that this year, Councilman. We're actually having a good year, running under budget relative to what we set last January. Year-to-date, we're under budget. We ran a comparison of costs projected out through year-end relative to the state health benefits plan cost. For 2017, the current arrangement that the city enjoys is less expensive than what the state health benefits plan would cost if the city decided to move into that.
So we discussed it later.
Okay.
Diane, you have anything? Oh, no, I was hot. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Okay, thank you. Have Thanksgiving.
Nobody else is here, I don't know.
Steve, you have anything?
Steve, no?
Steve just enjoys coming.
Oh, you just want to come and hang out, okay. Yeah, take it from the top.
All right, 3A is, I'm sorry we don't have Councilperson Osborne here. 3A is the ordinance amending Chapter 69, implementing.
Let me pass these out, because Rolanda just left these concerning the,
Let's see to speak on that.
yeah, tell him come here. He's here to speak on it, just pass these out. Yeah, pass them down, Chris. Just the SID stuff, okay. Yes.
Yeah, this is the establishment of a special improvement district in the Exchange Place area. This is Don Pepe.
Council members, good evening. Thank you for giving your time. And if I don't have the opportunity tomorrow, I want to wish you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving. We were here about 2 weeks ago. We had a little bit of a false start. Councilman Yoon, for one item, asked for a change to the ordinance. He asked me to put the formula with which property owners would be assessed directly in the ordinance, which I did revise, hand over to the law office, and it is now part of the ordinance. We also had an amendment to the map that was rather last minute, so in all fairness to the clerk's office and the tax assessor's office, there are 5,000 and change properties, individual property owners within this special improvement district, so it was a relatively Herculean task to try and pull that together in a day. So we missed 2 weeks ago. We're here, hopeful that we can get the ordinance introduced this week. And if you have any questions, I mean, we've met with most of you individually and explained what our goals and objectives are. And if you have any questions, particularly, I do recognize that we received a letter from a neighborhood association dated today. Councilwoman Osborne and I met with that group. I think one of their principal concerns is that there not be overlap in services, and I think that's only natural. I mean, one group or the other is going to perform the services. Both groups would not perform the identical services. Another issue raised was with respect to the long-term easement that's been in place with the NJDEP. That's the case with the entire Hudson River waterfront. Every inch of it, every inch of the walkway is governed by an easement with the NJDEP, and nothing would be different here. Which group administers the cleaning, the snow removal, the washing away of the fish guts, could be up in the air, but I do not believe that those two groups would be duplicating efforts. It will be ultimately one group or the other.
Anybody have any questions? Candace not here, but anybody have any questions?
Very good. I'm appreciate. But my only concern is that the exchange place, they're going to belong to controlled by SID. How they work? If anybody have an event in the future in their location, they use today. The city council approved that gives a permit use the exchange place. Now, what happened? How are we going to be managed there?
Cultural Affairs handle that.
Well,
No.
The question is, if an SID now happens there, what happens to all these parades that go down there and all these permits that we get?
Right now, Councilman, based on what's in front of you, based on the ordinance, absolutely nothing. Okay, we're talking about maintenance, we're talking about capital improvements. If it becomes advantageous for all parties involved, including the city and the city council, to shift administration and licensing and making sure insurances are in place for those types of events, If the city council wanted us to consider doing that, I'm sure it's something we would consider doing as the SID. If not, it will remain with whatever department it is with now indefinitely. That would always ultimately be your choice.
It's cultural affairs that handles it, and they will continue to handle it. Yeah, the streets, right.
The streets belong to the
City,
city. They
right.
control it.
Okay.
That can never happen.
Yeah.
Because it's a city street.
Okay. B,
Okay.
thank you, Don. B is a traffic ordinance designating 25 feet in front of 259 Van Ostrand Avenue, the Hardwood Pavilion, as no parking anytime.
What? How am I supposed to go see my mother?
So, this is so emergency vehicles can go to this facility.
Right. It's just to be in front of it, that's all, that's all.
3C, City Ordinance 16182, also amending the traffic code, designating 333 through 337 Newark Avenue in front of White Eagle Hall as no parking, Tuesday through Sunday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
This one I get confused a little bit. I mean, Newark Avenue, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., Kennedy Boulevard to Summit Avenue. Why? I mean, Newark Avenue, I think this is something wrong. Newark Avenue, I understand the front of wide.
No. The only part that's underlined is being changed. Everything else,
okay, good.
only the part underlined is being changed.
All right.
It's in front of White Eagle Hall, we'll talk about.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Location.
All right, D is approving a 5-year tax exemption for property at 712 Grand Street. Anyone here representing the developer?
Hearing none?
Hearing none. E, we did earlier. F is a franchise ordinance granting permission of Roseville Avenue Redevelopment Urban Renewal LLC to make private improvements to a portion of lands within the sidewalk area of Montgomery Street and York Street, adjacent to 391, 413 Montgomery Street and 451, 489 Montgomery Street, Jersey City. G and H, I understand, as a courtesy to our new council person, is being withdrawn. I don't know if that's something you initiated or the administration is.
It's right there in Rolando.
Okay.
They withdrew by.
So G and H are being withdrawn.
Deputy Mayor told me that they were going to be withdrawn.
Okay.
So they can,
So they could present it to him.
Okay, then,
Beautiful.
yeah, BA.
G and H are not on the agenda.
Not on the agenda, but. if
They're
you
not
see-
on the agenda.
Okay, I understand, but now, when you see that the municipal impact cost analysis sheet,
What are we talking about, Wayne?
this one.
We're not gonna discuss it tonight because we were drawing it. Oh, okay.
The municipal impact cost analysis sheet, some is based on 2015 budget, some is based on 2016 budget. So I try to make sure that the line up with the same line, 2016, and the sensors, some is a 2014, some is 2010. It make a difference, you know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure all use a 2016 budget, and the sensors, 2014 census, nobody do 2014 census, so we should be publishing counter based on 2010 census, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll just make sure that the two, okay?
Okay, we have second reading ordinances. On to resolutions. 10A is a resolution authorizing calendar year 2016 appropriation transfers. B is authorizing the cancellation of unused and unfunded authorizations. C, authorizing the business administrator to execute a discharge of mortgage affecting the property of 129 Orient Avenue. D is authorizing the execution of a mortgage subordination agreement affecting property owned by Genesis Associates at 445 Ocean Avenue. E is a resolution authorizing a refund credit of $305,000 and change and a reduction in assessments to settle tax appeals filed by various property owners. F is a resolution that's a companion to the first reading ordinance. This supplements the manual of loading zone designations, designating a 48-foot loading zone at 335, 337 Newark Avenue, Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and a 45-foot loading zone on 4th Street behind the White Eagle, 213 feet south of Newark Avenue, Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We have some honorary resolutions. G, H, and I, recognizing Raymond Martin as Jersey City's Paralympic champion. H, honoring Michelle Dupay for her dedicated service to the Jersey City Library. I, honoring Carolyn Joanne Armour for her dedicated service to the city. J, we did earlier. K is authorizing the renewal of a contract with NW Financial Group to provide financial advisory services. L is authorizing...
K. Yeah, K, 10K. 10K. So we pay $125,000 a year, right?
That's what the contract amount is up to.
Mm-hmm.
We only pay as we need them.
So how much did we pay last year?
I don't have that knowledge.
Do me a favor, can I have how much, 2015, I want to know how much we pay, and because it's bothering me, the fee principal, they charge $185 an hour, managing director 180, vice president 170, analyst is 150. I like to have a detailed invoice, how they charge. I need a copy of the invoice. Itemize a detailed invoice. So we know, I like to know 2015, how much we spend it, okay?
2015 and
15 and 16, yeah. Because they charge by hours, then I like to know.
Like attorneys.
Yeah, so we'll see, okay? Yep. All right, good, thank you.
L, so ratifying a professional services contract with the Goldstein Partnership to assist the city of Jersey City with the West District Police Precinct saga.
Let me ask you this one, Bob. When we do the construction, we hire the construction auditors, right, and engineer firm. Why they not continue to do this job? We have to hire another company.
This is the architect this is our architect. Now the project is completed. There are apparently some outstanding items that the law department wants to go after the contractor for. So who knows the project better than our architect? So he's being hired to serve as the expert for them.
So it's the same company?
Yeah, architect, yeah,
Okay.
he's the same company.
Okay, M is fixing the dates and times for the caucuses and regular meetings of the Municipal Council for the year 2017.
Council Acting President Joyce Waterman, let me ask a quick question. The July 17, the council meeting 10 a.m., July 19, 10 a.m. We understand we do that because of years ago, we have no air condition. But now we have air condition, actually, can we do that there like evening, the same way?
Council has given itself a break once a year and having each day.
We can do that, right?
Yes, you can. You
I
can
mean,
do
there
it.
any
We
issue?
can do it.
I'll show up at 10 a.m.
No, I mean, because of middle of the day, actually, it's bothering us. I know that the Bob gonna hates me. He have to go. All right, Bob, let it go.
Okay, let it go.
There are other considerations in that schedule that basically the impact of the vote by the voters to change the election. So we can move to change it during the year. It's not a one-size-fit-all type thing, but it's something to get us started.
And,
You got the elections.
right, we have the elections in November.
November, that is why.
And so this may have to adjust anyway, because the league is in
Well,
November too.
yeah, I just thought that having a caucus the night before a municipal election, and a meeting the day after was not going to work, and that there might be a little bit of unsettlement, and a lot of people may not be going to the league the week after the election. It might not be such a sacred event.
That makes so much sense. Probably not the council, but I think everybody else in the city will be. Yeah, Robin. Right.
Not when the city's not paying for it. But again, that can be revisited as we work through it. N is consenting to the award of the Public Infrastructure Tax Credit from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority to PH Urban Renewal LLC.
I have a question concerning this. Being that it involves a public school,
Which one? This one here?
yeah, it's a 10N.
Okay.
Am I restricted from voting on this?
10, which one is it?
Because
10N.
Because he involves in public schools, because he works for the public schools, it's best to abstain. Yes. Mhm.
And
Anything
I
with
know
the public
there's
schools, abstain.
There's a major payment to the public schools
Right.
on the claims.
The claims.
Well, you know, I think conflicts of interest are very fact sensitive, and you have to really examine these carefully. Sometimes you can vote on something, it's what they call de minimis, it's so minor, you know, that it's okay and you're doing it publicly. So you really need an opinion on this, and that should either come from the Corporation Council or from the local ethics board, one or the other. So if you request that, you want to shoot it, I mean, for now, it's always best to recuse yourself, abstain, but in the future, if you see items like this on the agenda, obviously, you didn't have a whole lot of time with this one, but in the future, I remember, who was it, Bernadette Orlando Riley, or
She was on the board of schools.
she was, right, and she was a nurse and part of a collective bargaining, and the city at the time funded the medical center, the Jersey City Medical Center. They were essentially an agency of the city, and somebody did sue because she voted on it, and the courts held, well, that was really de minimis, her role there. So it's very fact sensitive, so just for the future, you know, ask for an opinion and we will look at it, but for now I would abstain too. You can't, it can't hurt you. You have to be very sensitive about that.
Through 1993, 5 members of the council were employees of the school board, so I don't know how we did anything then. O is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant award from the United States Department of Homeland Security Port Security Grant Program. We did P with Ms. Flanagan earlier, and Q with Mr. McManus. R is authorizing the City of Jersey City to execute a developer's agreement with 207 Van Voor Street Realty Company and the Planning Board of the city in connection with the project at 193, 197, and 207 Van Voorst. Let's add street to that.
Okay, the 10 hours, right?
Right, we
So
pulled this
public-
last time, so
Yeah.
somebody here, you here for this?
Yes, I am here. Yeah.
Okay, come on, Jim.
Yeah.
Did Candace want this?
Yeah, Candace is not here actually.
She's not here. She wanted this, right? I mean.
No, she's not. What she has a concern about
Okay.
it.
It's something about the pedestrian walkway.
Yes, so
Okay.
my name is Jim McCann. I'm here on behalf of the developer who's requesting the developer's agreement. This is a requirement that's imposed upon us by the redevelopment plan. Under the redevelopment plan, my client built 2 buildings, and I have the approved site plan, just to give you a quick idea. It's actually attached to the agreement, but they're building a building here, and they're planning on building a building here, and in between is a pedestrian plaza that we agreed to build for a couple of reasons. Reason one is because the city wanted an easement to run a water pipeline, and you folks approved this in the redevelopment plan, but the city wanted an easement to run a major water pipeline from the Paulus Hook neighborhood into the Liberty Harbor North neighborhood because it would improve the water circulation for both of those neighborhoods. So my client had the ability to build one building that was going to be 7 stories high across this entire area. Instead, what we worked out with the planning department and the city was that they would build 2 buildings separated by this area here so that the MUA could come and install a water pipeline through here to that. So that was the first reason for the for the change to the redevelopment plan. But then the second one was, as long as we were doing it, we should make something nice for the community. So the developer agreed to build this pedestrian plaza at its own expense and then maintain it in perpetuity at its own expense, so that there would be no cost to the city to maintain this. But we're not dedicating it to the city as a public park or plaza. It's still going to be a privately owned plaza. And the reason for that is really because these are residences all in here. This is primarily a residential project. So there's 200 people that are going to live, 200 units that are going to be in this building, and another approximately 200 units in this building. So we have to protect the peace and quiet for the neighbors. So that's the purpose of the developer's agreement. It's to do both things. It's to maintain this so that we know that we have to maintain it, and it's also to have some rules and regulations so that the residences and the businesses here can maintain the peace and quiet there.
Yes, can I ask, how wide is it?
It's 50 feet wide. That's one of the things. It's very narrow. And it's also a connecting way between the 2 neighborhoods, which is why it has to be open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Because the planning department looked at this as, this is the light rail, and the planning department looked at this as a nice way to connect the 2 neighborhoods. So we agreed to keep the plaza open all the time. So there's no gates, there's no fences of that sort. So this is a free and open pedestrian walkway at any hour of the night.
See, I think what's the name? The councilwoman Candice was one, and me, we have a lot of things is a different opinion, but seems like we agree one matter is that call that the public pedestrian project, so that will the public, so we are uncomfortable that they prohibited and certain things like picketing, demonstrating, so something, they limited the public expression opportunity, at the public pedestrian project. So we'll think uncomfortable because when I hear that, a couple of months ago, Councilman Joyce Waterman's daughters lead the community to demonstrate, come down somewhere this area, and suddenly police officers show up. This is a private, it's just a street. If we ask anybody, it's a street. They say, oh, this is public owned street, you cannot demonstrate, you have to get out. When I heard that, I told myself, it never been happen again. You know what I'm saying? And that they have a name of the public street name, and the public use that they are not only resident people that are, any public able to passing by as a knowing as a public street, they should be limited that, and the picketing and demonstrating was a very feel uncomfortable, I hope this is a 50.
Let me help you.
Yes.
So will that hinder any public right of way?
Well,
That's
so-
what he's really.
So those are the only 2 things that, it was the same concern that the developer had. That was really the biggest thing, because there's so many apartments right in this area on both sides, and because if there were to be demonstrations or picketing, there's the public right-of-way in front of the buildings and over in Liberty Harbor North that demonstrations could occur on the public right-of-way, which I think you were pointing out. You can't prohibit people from demonstrating in the street or picketing in the street. The only area that they don't want it is right in here, because it would be right outside somebody's window. And effectively, Councilman, as a property owner, you have the right to have people not picket or to prohibit people from picketing on your front lawn or on your walkway, your private walkway, but not on the public sidewalk in front of your house. So we're just looking for the same protection, only because there's so many folks that live in both of these buildings.
But still, I wasn't feel comfortable when I heard that, when I see that. And also in the first floor will be, and just twice a commercial area.
Well, there's some retail, but
Yes.
really, there's some retail, some small neighborhood retail in here, but really, it's a residence. There's 400 homes.
I think the difference is that that's not necessarily a street, is it? I mean, that's gonna be designated as private property.
It's private property.
It is gonna be, the agreement says, no, it's pedestrian, it's pedestrian.
It's pedestrian, but they want the access to Paul's Hook too.
Yes.
Right? So it's connecting, so they can go through anytime they choose. Right, if I'm correct, right? Paula Hook, if they can go through anytime too, right?
They can, yes. Folks can go through
Right.
both ways. The only thing that we're asking that they not be able to do is picket, and that's because they could picket right out here. They can picket on the public street anywhere they want.
It's not dedicated to the city.
Right.
We understand. And I do have a lot of experience with this issue, and I did write a memo to the Corporation Council, because I know there was a concern that it might be against the law to do that. But it's actually not. If it's private property, it's not against the law to prohibit picketing and demonstrating. What you would have to do is allow people to leaflet. So if somebody wanted to pass out leaflets in this area, they could for a political cause, but they would have to do it quietly. That's what the Supreme Court of New Jersey said, and I hope that the Corporation Council included that in your packet. But that's our concern, Councilman. It's residential. We're hoping you can just let us have those two things.
So, it's a thin line. I understand what you're saying, Michael, but it's a thin line.
Other street. It's not at end. You know what I'm saying?
It's not true.
That's what I'm saying. So you can picketing, communicate. They demonstrated this side, but 250 by how length is it? How many foot is it? Maybe 60, 600 foot long. 600 foot long street. You cannot demonstrate.
But it is going to be.
But they connect with other street already.
It is going to be marked as private property, though. We're allowed to do that
You're allowed
under
to
the
mark it as
agreement.
private.
Yeah, that's in the redevelopment plan. It's going to say publicly maintained private plaza. So it is going to be staked out that way.
So in other words, they're not even in the gate, but actually they set up the invisible gate to protect the resident of that area.
But only against protesting and picketing. That's it. People can go there and they can shop, they can sit, they can do anything that they want. It's just those two things.
Picketing and stuff in that neighborhood for some
No, we're
reason?
gonna send them to Bowers and Central.
We don't see that.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, thank you.
Well, because we plan to.
All right, let's get on with life.
Go ahead.
We did S. T is authorizing the execution of indemnification agreements. You have a substitute for the 10T. It's not Chicago Title Insurance Company, it's the Commonwealth Land Title Insurance Company for judgments against the properties identified on the city's tax map. U
So
is
what
the
happened
U.
to this one?
Joanne left us.
Yeah.
This is a law department initiated item.
So she can make this one tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good, all right.
Just tell Joan to speak to him tomorrow, yes, that's all.
Okay. V, authorizing the amendment of the license agreement with the redevelopment agency regarding the remediation of property located within the Grand Jersey redevelopment area. No, it isn't. We did W and X. Y is the last. It's a contract with Orico Reports Incorporated for background check services. Any question on that?
No.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn at 7:50? By Councilperson Waterman, you got the second, Councilperson Coleman. Let's just take attendance. Councilperson Gajewski to adjourn. Gadsden. Vagiano is gone. Yun is still here. Osborne never here. Councilperson Coleman. Councilperson Rivera. Councilperson Waterman. And the Council President is absent. Thank you very much, everyone.